biggest mistake I made in my career was taking my foot off the gas at Southampton.
Austria isn't the first country that comes to mind when you think of world-class footballers. But in recent years, Austrian defender Kevin Danso has been turning heads and making his mark on the European stage. If you haven't come across Danso before, you may remember when he accidentally broke Mbappe's nose at the Euros. After receiving a lot of hype for his performances for the Austrian national team and for Lens in Ligue 1, Kevin began to receive a lot of transfer interest. Last summer, a deal was agreed for Kevin to sign for Italian giants AS Roma, but at the last minute, and to everyone's disbelief, the transfer fell through. Kevin had reportedly failed his medical. Roma claimed they discovered an irregularity of Kevin's heart, and as a result could not complete the deal. Kevin maintains that after years of being a professional footballer, working with multiple medical teams, clubs and private doctors, he does not have any irregularities with his heart.
I just I just want to leave just so I can, at least have a fair crack at reaching my potential.
And for the first time on camera, Kevin opens up about the situation from his perspective and how it's impacted him. He's defended against some of the world's best attackers, and pundits have claimed that he has all the attributes to become one of the best centre-backs in the world. This is Kevin Danso, and this is his story.
The best player I played against in my career is Hello, my name is Kevin Danso, professional footballer for FC Lens. I'm here to do perspectives for rising ballers.
Everything rolling wicked. Kevin, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming. First question for you. Can you tell us about where you're from and how football started for you?
So I'm Austrian born in a small village called Augsburg to Ghanaian parents. I've got 2 brothers, and that's basically how football started. With me, I think growing up till from a baby till 6 years old, I wasn't really interested in football. Yeah, but being from a football family, dad, both brothers really being into football, I think it was just a natural thing that I came into football. So we moved to England when I was about 6 years old from Austria.
Why did that happen? Why did your whole family move?
I think just for better opportunities. I mean, at that age, I didn't really have much say. My parents decided to move to England, closer to family who already lived in England. And yeah, just because it's an English-speaking country, being of Ghanaian descent, that they just thought it would be better for us.
So football, so you've moved to the UK now, and you're 6?
Yeah.
6 years old, moved to the UK, football family. So how did the football journey sort of start?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I didn't really want to be a footballer. But being in a football family, dad, brothers really into football, it kind of just was kind of not forced onto me. But my oldest brother, Emmanuel, just thought, okay, my second brother, so the middle brother, Joe, wanted to play football, and he found us both a team. We both went to the same team, and that's when I guess my love for football really started. And that was around the age of 7, 8.
Okay, nice. What's the age difference between you and your brothers?
4 years. So the first one is 4 years and the oldest one is 11 years.
Okay, cool. So first club was Reading, right? Or first pro club?
Yeah, first pro club was Reading. So I started off at a local club called Central Milton Keynes. I played there with my brother. Started off as a striker. Scored a lot of goals in my first season. Yeah, and then I was scouted quite a few times by a lot of different teams. But my brother and I were scouted for Reading, so I think I was there for about 6 months, and then I think it was something like they didn't quite take on my brother, and for me it was just too long to be travelling at that. Yeah, it's a long way at that age. Sometimes having to leave school early at times just to get to training, which isn't the best solution because school's very important. My brother would love that I said that. Yeah.
Well, it's just difficult, isn't it? Because your education's important, and if you're going to sacrifice some of that for football, it has to be as close to home as possible.
Exactly,
right?
And that's why the next step was going to MK Dons, which was my local club, and it was a really good decision, I think.
Nice. So can you sort of take us through your journey at MK Don? So you joined 8, 9, did you say?
Yeah, under nines, yeah.
Under 9s? Okay, so local club, you're in the academy, you're an under 9. What was that experience like growing up at the academy like?
Amazing. I mean, I'm lifelong friends. I speak to almost all of the lads that I played with still today, you know. It was just a lot of fun, very unorthodox philosophy, style of playing under the likes of Damakichi, who produced the likes of Dele Alli, Brendan Galloway, Shea Ojo, George Williams, so many amazing players. And, you know, like I said, the philosophy was amazing, just tiki-taka, playing football. It was just an academy that was trying to create football players rather than just a striker, midfielder. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time there. Like I said, very unorthodox if I explain some of the things we used to do in training or some of the things I used to get sinned in for. You guys would probably laugh, but yeah, it was an amazing time. And, you know, I think it plays a very important role in the where I am today as a footballer.
Wicked, man. So good place, learnt a lot. What are your like key memories of the academy? Like how did it shape you as a person?
Yeah, just to adapt to any situation, because even our training ground wasn't really our training ground. It was a field or park which was open to the public. So sometimes you'd play on a pitch, you know, that's absolutely destroyed, and we'd still have to keep the ball on the ground, play football through very tough conditions. And like I said, so I'll never be one to complain about the pitch or anything like that, just because, like I said, growing up, there was always something wrong or something not quite 100%. And like I said, that just shaped me as a person I am. I'm not one to complain. I'm just one to make the best out of the situation and try the best as possible.
Nice, man. That's an important lesson for all young players out there.
Yeah,
I think.
definitely.
You mentioned sort of unorthodox training and stuff. What can you let us in on any of that? What are your memories?
Okay, one of my best memories, I think, we always used to train in the dome. And like all the teams are under 9s through to under 16s, I think, trained in the domes on different days. So you can imagine the pitch, the dome, the 3G was pretty worn out sometimes. And one time there was quite a large patch that was like worn out and that had to be replaced. And it was kind of coned off, and we had to train around that. So play around the cones and play around that area, and just, you know, he did it on purpose just to really, Damakichi, just to really instill to us that whatever the situation, whatever the circumstance, you need to find a way to play, and you need to find a way to deal with the situation.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, important lesson as a young player, I think. So 2014, you moved to Germany to join FC Augsburg. How did that opportunity come about, and why did you decide to leave MK Dons?
Well, I mean, I think it's the sacrifice, I guess. You know, growing up, the dream was very clear. You wanted to be a professional footballer. At MK Dons, I was very much in my comfort zone, and I think an opportunity came about where it was like I said again, unorthodox. I don't think many players that then were moving abroad to chase their dream, and I think for me that was the most important thing. They offered like amazing things, like they offered me a private school, so I was able to finish my school, which I did my IGCSE and my IB, so I was able to finish that at the same time. So it was also a good schooling opportunity, but the opportunity to make a dream become a reality, you know, just that sacrifice, moving at a young age, leaving friends, family behind. And yeah, like I said, it's just, thinking back at it now is crazy at that age, but I think it paid off.
How old were you when you moved?
15, 15, so in January 15. And when I got there, it wasn't straightforward as well, because I wasn't allowed to play competitively for a year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was only allowed to play the friendlies and the tournaments. And in Germany, the setup is like from under 16s, you start playing in leagues. So junior, like under 17 Bundesliga, under 19 Bundesliga, and then the second teams normally play in the 4th division, so the conference or League 2 equivalent. And for the first year, I wasn't allowed to play in the league games, which was kind of tough as well. But again, like I said, it was a sacrifice, and I just worked hard, trained, played the friendlies, and
Why weren't you allowed to play?
just FIFA transfer regulations and stuff like that, not knowing too much about that. It was pretty frustrating, but like I said, I was still playing football. I was able to play the few friendlies we had, and that was good.
Tell us about how the opportunity first came about.
It came about, I was scouted by the then technical director, Stefan Schwarz, who scouted me while I was playing for the Austrian national team. So while I was MK Dons, I got selected to play for the under-15s and the under-16s for the Austrian national team. And playing on that stage, there's always scouts at the game. And yeah, Stefan Schwarz was the person who scouted me, and the rest was then pretty much history.
Nice. So yeah, international football is a great opportunity for players, isn't it? Okay, so from the moment he's seen you at this international tournament, how did it sort of progress from there? Have they contacted? How did it work between MK Dons and Augsburg at that point?
I mean, I didn't have too much to do with that. It was all my brother, you know. For me, that transfer stuff, all of that stuff at that age was so far-fetched for me. I just wanted to play football, and for me, it was just coming to grips that I'm leaving my family, my friends, my comfort zone, players that I've been playing with for basically 6, 7, 8 years, like since I started football even. Just going to leave them behind and go and join a bunch of new players, which is, again, I think Austria prepared me. Leaving MK Dons to play for Austria for weeks at a time kind of prepared me for that. And when I got there, literally, I was like, okay, this is just a longer one of those periods. So instead of it being a week or 10 days at a time, this is just 6 months. And then 6 months, when I was off school, I could go back, see my friends, see my family. Yeah, so that's the mindset I went into it with, and it worked out pretty well.
Nice. How did you find the transition like? Did you go alone? Obviously, I know your brother was in a city nearby.
Yeah.
But obviously, despite not being able to play competitive fixtures for the first season, like how did you find it? Were you on your own? Were you in digs, or did mum and dad come with you? How did it work out?
So my mum would come visit, but it was pretty much like digs basically. Yeah, but you don't live with the parents. You live with the teammates together. So we had little apartments. We all lived in the same apartment block. So some people lived 2, some there was 3, some was 4 players living together. And basically, in the morning you would go to school. After school, you will come to training, have dinner with the boys, go back. It's just the same thing over and over again. And I mean, that age is a dream, really. Just playing football, going to school, playing football. It wasn't, like I said, I just saw it as a long training camp.
Was it tough leaving like friends behind and stuff at that age?
Yeah, I think I'm a kind of person who doesn't really take those types of things in. I put a scenario in my head, and I'm saying, okay, I'm doing this for 6 months, and I really like to just like cut it up into groups and be like, okay, into sections, and be like, okay, I'm going back now. This home, When I come back, it's 6-month period. But when it really hit me was prom. So when I was seeing my friends post pictures of prom, going to prom and stuff like that, that's when it really hit me. I was like, okay, I've got to make it now, because I'm missing like one of the, not most important, I mean that age is like one of the most important things, like parties in the social calendar in terms of school and everything. You're missing it. Like, I've got to make it. And I think from that moment on, I really just said, yeah, I'm not going to miss this for no reason.
Yeah, makes sense, man. Makes sense. Yeah, it's a big jump to make. So basically, a load of young guys all living together, all just dreaming of becoming a top pro footballer.
Exactly. Competing against everybody around.
Yeah. Cool. So then fast forward, you're there for about 3 years, and then 2017 you made your debut for the club, and you became the youngest player in the club's history to debut in the league. Can you tell us about that debut? How did it feel? How did you get told you were playing? Like, tell us that story from start to finish.
I remember it pretty well, like it was yesterday, to be honest. So I'd been a few months before, so in November, I was trained with the first team for the first time, just for a week. And the week after, the coach at the time was like, okay, listen, you're gonna stay, you're gonna train with us, and then you're gonna, if you're not in the squad or if you don't play for us, then you'll be playing for the either under 19s or under 23s, whatever we decide. Yeah, I mean, that was the first time I was like, okay, well, I can make my debut. I can be a professional footballer. Yeah, and then just did pre-season with them. They changed the coach, so I did pre-season with them. And then, yeah, just training with them, and then just 1 week, we were just training, and we do a lot of shape at the beginning of the week, and I realized I was playing a lot with the starting players, starting 11, 3 at the back, and I was kind of like, am I playing, or is he doing this just to like make me confident, or just to show that I'm on the cusp, and probably on the match day he won't put me in the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we came to the Friday before the game. No, the game was on Friday. The game was, so it was Thursday. Yeah, I was in the starting lineup, doing the set pieces, everything with the starting lineup. And after training, he didn't say anything the whole training session. After training session on my way home, he gives me a call, and he's like, "Kev, you ready?" And I was like, "Ready for what?" And he's like, "Oh, you haven't realized you're going to be playing tomorrow." And I just laughed, and I just said to him point blank, it's like, I'm not going to believe it till the first whistle goes and I'm on the pitch. So till then, just take it like any other week. Yeah, and then it comes to the Friday. It's an evening game as well, so you have all day. You get to the hotel, you got all day. It's like, still thinking, he's going to decide against it. It's going to take me out last minute. But yeah, had the team talk. I was in the team. Still very skeptical, still not believing it. Warm-ups finish, okay, everything's okay, not injured, nothing. The final whistle goes, the first whistle goes, kicks off the game, and I'm on the pitch, and just I didn't even have time to let it settle in. And you have players like Emil Forsberg, Timo Werner at that time, Marcel Sabitzer running at you. So it's like, I'm actually here. And I think around 6 minutes into the game, did an amazing tackle on Emil Forsberg in the penalty box, which could have went left. Literally last-ditch challenge, won the ball, and I'll never forget this feeling. Won the ball and just played the ball out from the back, and there was a slide tackle, and I just felt the fans like behind the goal just cheer, and it felt like somebody's just lifted me up and given me a huge push. And I think that was the moment I realized that, yeah, I've made it. Like, I'm a professional footballer, because I don't think you dream of those moments. Like, I didn't know exactly how it feels performing in front of 30,000 people and just having the crowd cheer because of something you did, and it was an amazing feeling. We end up drawing that game 2-2, and I got man of the match, so it wasn't a bad debut.
Not a bad start getting man of the match.
Yeah.
Like I think how important is that for a footballer, like that first game? How important is that for players?
Oh, I think for everybody's different, but I think it's very important. For me, like I said, it was amazing just getting to know what it's like, getting to know the feeling. And I mean, even after the game, that's something I didn't know. After the game, couldn't sleep, so much adrenaline. Like, we had training the next day as well, just a bit of jogging, and I was just so off a high. Like, it was amazing. But yeah, back to the question. Yeah, I think it's very important. It kind of, I wouldn't say it makes you or breaks you, because I think I've seen in football a lot of debuts that didn't go so well that people learn from. But again, I think it's just how you deal with it after, how you bounce, how you continue to like push on after that. That's the most important thing. But the debut, once again, I think is an amazing feeling, and I think that's the first time you realize, okay, this is actually something I've always dreamt of, and you're there and you're on the stage doing what you love.
Yeah, amazing, man. So sort of growing up, I'm just gonna sideline a little bit, but growing up, like, what sort of players did you look up to and want to be like?
This is funny. I'm a centre back now, but my absolute favourite player was Didier Drogba.
Oh, really?
Growing up, yeah. Didier Drogba, the likes of Yaya Toure, so many players, Makalele, just, players that I didn't really get to watch myself too much, but just because of my brothers talking about them, just then you go on YouTube, look at the videos, and you think, oh, okay, these were actually amazing players. And I think for me, it was always the type of player who was like a fighter. So the likes of Gattuso, Cannavaro, Maldini, just those players that, you know, did a lot through their passion for the game rather than the technical players. Obviously, I love the technical players as well, like the likes of Zinedine Zidane, Kaká, Ronaldinho, all those players. Love watching them as well. But yeah, for me, it was just those warriors. Puyol, for example, was somebody I loved as well.
Are you a warrior? Are you that kind of player?
Yeah, I think that's the way I try to. Just those are the players I look up to. Just those players that have that fighting mentality, just want to win every game. That real winners mentality, want to go out and you feel like they want to be the best player on the pitch. They want to win the game, and yeah, that's the way I play my football, and I try to implement in my everyday.
Nice, man. Cool. So after you made your debut, next few seasons you went on a few loans.
Yeah.
Southampton and Fortuna Dusseldorf. What were the loan experiences like individually, and then how do you think they shaped you as a player?
Two very different loan spells. So I'd been at Augsburg for 5 years, 2 years pro, and obviously at that age, like you see, okay, I didn't feel like I was getting enough playing time, and obviously being young, the most important thing is actually playing. You know, just to gain experience yeah, because I think when you're young, you dream of being a football player, you dream of playing at the highest level, and you can only do that by playing games and showing your potential. And like I said, I didn't feel like I was getting that at Augsburg anymore, being from the academy. Obviously, players having established players that have been playing there for years or playing at bigger clubs, and then coming to Augsburg. Yeah, so after the under 21 Euros, which I did really well in. I mean, we got eliminated in a group stage, but I had two very good games and one decent game. Yeah, I just wanted to make that next step, and I had a lot of offers from Italy and from Germany as well. But I think, you know, being from England, growing up from England, dreaming to always play in the Premier League, yeah, I chose Southampton, and you know, I started off amazingly, started off really well. I was playing left back. I was a centre back. I was playing left back the first
How
couple
old
of
were
games.
you when you went on this loan, by the way?
2021. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, started off playing left back, played right back, played 1 game or 2 games at centre back. Yeah, I mean, like I said, started off really well, and then started playing less and less, which is quite frankly my own fault as well. I take full responsibility for that. Like I said, I got into Premier League, you know, playing in the Premier League, dream come true. So I started taking my foot off the gas a bit.
Oh,
I
really?
would call it, yeah. But I think that's the point, or that's the point in my career I learned most about myself, and I just really understood what it took. If you want your dream to become a reality, like the work you have to put in, and I learned that from a lot of the players at Southampton. You know, even though I wasn't playing a lot, then after a few months, just the support from the players, the likes of Ryan Bertrand, Nathan Redmond, and just, which I always say, watching James Ward-Prowse, just the professionalism, the things he put in place, the things he did. Just, you know, I definitely took a leaf out of his book, because he's one of the most professional player I've ever played with. And
really,
yeah, I mean, like, leaves no page unturned, like no stone unturned, sorry. Just works at everything, and you know, that's why I thought, okay, you know, you can never take your foot off the gas, because if you want to be a player at a high level, you got to work as hard as some of these players did, and you know, change your mentality. And like I said, I learned a lot from those players around me.
So Southampton was a bit of a wake-up call, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. You know, like I said, I started amazing, and I was playing, I was doing well, and then, like I said, taking your foot off the gas, and you can't afford to do that, especially in the Premier League, which is definitely the toughest league I've played in so far.
Yeah.
But like I said, and then after that, obviously not playing a lot, not doing anything, I went back to Augsburg, and then went on loan again to Fortuna Dusseldorf. And yeah, I think I got there, it was in the second Bundesliga. The first few games didn't go so well, because I was playing with a bit, I would say, a bit of a chip on my shoulder, just like, I shouldn't be here. My level is the Premier League. I've already kind of shown that I can play at the highest level. I played in the Bundesliga. Like, why am I here? And like I said, when you take your foot off the gas, that's normally what happens. And the first few games didn't go so well. I was playing, but wasn't playing amazingly. And then I think the minute where I realized that, I was like, actually, I really just have to be head and shoulders above the rest of everybody, the people in the league. was when we went to play. No disrespect to Würzburger kickers, I don't know, nobody would have probably heard of them.
Yeah.
But you know, from playing at the Etihad to playing at a Würzburger kicker stadium was the absolute wake-up call for me, because you know, like I said, you dream as a kid to be playing at the stages like Old Trafford, Etihad, Anfield, you know, all these big stages, and then here I am playing at the Würzburger kicker stadium. And from that point on, my head was screwed on. I was fully focused, and you know, then I had a really good rest of the season for Dusseldorf. Yeah, and I think it was something like I was man of the match for Dusseldorf as a centre back for 30% of the matches for the whole season. So yeah, like I said, I think it was a good decision to go to the Bundesliga too, just to as a wake up call, and to prove myself that okay, this isn't actually where I belong. I have the potential to be better, and it's just about proving that every day. And that's what I learned from that loan spell, that doesn't matter how much potential you have, how good you think you are, you actually have to prove it every day, in every training session, and in every game.
Yeah, so it's a weird one, isn't it? Because like you kind of have two choices in that scenario. You're like in an environment where you think you're better than that environment,
No.
but it's like you can be bothered about it, and you can just not give your best. But where's that going to get you? You're only going to go lower down. In order to get back where you believe you belong to be, you have to prove.
Definitely, you have to put in the work. I mean, like I said, you can't take your foot off the gas, because I think you see it in football a lot, or you hear it from football a lot. There's players with loads of potential that then don't end up making it. Like I played with some amazing players that definitely should have made it, but I think they played too long in their comfort zone, or they were in their comfort zone, and they believed that their potential will get them to where they think they should be. But the reality is you got to work hard.
So many players. Happens to so many players. Okay, cool. What advice do you have for? So you described two environments there where you know it was a bit challenging for you, particularly Southampton.
No.
What advice do you have for other players or young players, like going through a difficult period, or you know when they're losing confidence, or in a scenario where they think they should be higher up? What advice would you have for them?
Yeah, just don't take your foot off the gas. Just keep working hard, keep working at it, because I mean, there's a lot of people out there with potential, but I think in the end, the people who work the hardest and take that potential and the work rate, work ethic will make it the furthest, you know. And my brother always told me, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So you have to be prepared for when your lucky break comes. And there's a lot of players that are good enough, their lucky break comes and they're not prepared for that moment. And somebody else is, just because they were working 10 times harder, or just that little bit harder, you know. I think the most important thing is just to put yourself in the best conditions, possibly sleep well, eat well, drink well, and just make sure when that opportunity comes that you can really grab it with both hands.
So after that, you then moved to Lens. How did that move come about, and how have you found it? Actually, let's do the part two in a moment. Just tell us about how that came about. So you've done your loan at Dusseldorf.
Yeah.
You're back on track. Go back to Augsburg. Are you playing again at Augsburg now?
No, I've gone back to Augsburg, so it's pre-season. Yeah, so basically got there, and I told them I want to leave. I want to, you know, build off basically what I've just proved in the second Bundesliga.
Why did you want to leave? Did you not think you could break into the team there?
Yeah, just not necessarily think I can break into the team, but it's just you know, I think there was a manager before that came in and didn't really like me or like my style of playing, or for whatever reason they wasn't really a fan of me, which happens in football all the time. And I feel like that being the club, I made it professional. I feel like they should have supported me more in that instance, but I don't feel like they did, and there was a kind of like a break of trust from my opinion, and I just like, okay, I just want to leave just so I can, you know, at least have a fair crack at reaching my potential. And that's what happened. And Lens contacted my agent, my brother, early on, as soon as the season finished. You know, I think I was scouted in that time playing for the under-21s while I was in Dusseldorf in a match against Turkey, which I was playing in midfield.
No way.
And actually, yeah, so I was still playing in midfield, all over the place, midfield, 10 sometimes, you know. That was part of the MK Dons philosophy, to be fair, just creating a football player playing in different positions. So
That's good, I rate that.
yeah, so I was playing midfield
Comfortable
there.
in all areas of the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I got scouted as a midfielder, and then he obviously, which was Flo Gilosofi, who's the sporting director at Roma at the moment. Yeah, he scouted me. He was the sporting director at Lens. He scouted me, contacted my brother, and yeah, he just like, we would really like to have you at Lens. And you know, when that opportunity came about, it's just like, okay, looked up Lens, looked up what the team, the club is about, and I just thought, okay, League One is a league where loads of talents have come from. You know, I'd like to go there and kind of prove myself, and yeah, so that's what happened. So I think it was pretty close towards the end of the transfer window. I moved to Lens late August, and yeah, the rest is pretty much history.
Cool. So 23 years old, joined Lens. Big opportunity for you, time to establish yourself in the first team, kind of thing.
Yeah,
How was that experience then? How did it go?
it was good. I mean, learning a new language, so I was learning a lot about myself and learning a lot about what kind of player I want to be, what kind of established player I want to be. And you know, I was playing week in, week out, learning the language. So yeah, just learning the league as well, getting used to playing against young, very explosive, physically good, talented players in every single team, and some established players playing against the likes of, in my first season, Fabregas at Monaco, Koscielny at Bordeaux, and then you have loads of young, amazing talents, Camavinga at Rennes, you know. So I think it was just like establishing myself into the league and just, yeah, really establishing myself as a professional footballer, you know, a professional footballer as you imagine it as a kid, and someone who plays week in, week out. And yeah, I think it went pretty well.
Nice. So you just named all these like amazing players, right, that you played against and stuff. There's a popular narrative in football that Ligue 1 is a farmers' league. You've played in the league yourself. What are your views on that?
Definitely not a farmers league, and I think the players that have come out of the league just have proven it. You know, the likes of Camavinga, Tchouaméni, players that play at Real Madrid, Kylian Mbappé being the most famous one. Yeah, I think there's so many young talents or just players that people don't know about straight away, but they're playing there, and you just think, wow, who's that? Who's that? And you look at them up, and you'd be like, oh, he's 20 years old, he's 18 years old, he's 19 years old, and it's just abundance of talents. And 3 years later, they're playing at top teams, top leagues, and you just think, okay, if it's such a farmers league, then why are so many great players or the top players in the world at the moment coming out of these leagues? So I think people who don't know the league, don't watch it regularly, it's just not the same. It doesn't have the same marketing power as maybe the Spanish league, the Premier League, and the Bundesliga. But I think playing in the Bundesliga and playing in the Liga, I think definitely as a defender is way tougher to play in the Liga, because like I said, you've got explosive, fast, young players who just play carefree. Just like I said, I think a lot of players are just trying to establish themselves, trying to put themselves out there, and that's exactly how they play. And it's not easy. And I think in Germany, where the difference is in Germany, you've got a lot of established players, a more tactical game rather than like a physical and technical, the way the French league is like very physical and technical. You know, you've got a bunch of great players, great talents. One being Ryan Cherki, plays for Lyon. I don't know if you guys know him or heard about him, but look him up. He's an amazing player, and I'm pretty sure in the next few years he'll be at a big club.
Nice, man. Great answer. Last season, for the first time in 20 years, Lens played in the Champions League. Can you tell us about that experience and what it was like to play in the UCL?
It was an amazing experience. I mean, the season was amazing itself. Made it into the team of the year as well. Yeah, I just think pushed on. We started the season really well. I think it was something like 10 games undefeated alongside Paris, which was amazing. Just, you know, we were just playing amazing football. the season, and we finished second, and yeah, everything was just going well. And then the season after, we played in the Champions League, got to play against Arsenal, Sevilla, got to play against some great players as well. You know, players that you looked up to, Jesus Navas at Sevilla, for example, at that point. Yeah, Sergio Ramos was at Sevilla as well. Yeah, it's a great experience, you know. Dream come true. You've always dreamed, I think, like I said, as a kid, you dream of playing at the big stage under the lights, hearing the Champions League song for the first time in Sevilla, playing away, playing with the badge, playing with the Champions League ball, all those things that you dream as a kid, and it's just like, wow, it's actually happening, you know, all that hard work you've put in over the last, I would say, yeah, the last 3 years, all the hard work I've put in
Your
to
whole
get,
life, bro.
yeah, whole life, definitely, but
Yeah.
especially the last 3 years, you know, just to, you know, kind of revive my career. It was like, oh, it's paid off, and I'm playing in the Champions League, beating Arsenal at home 2-1, playing against my Odegaard, Declan Rice. I used to play against Declan Rice when I was younger, who's made such a progression. It's obviously nice to see. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it just felt like I belonged then, you know, and I think I proved that season as well in some of those games that that's definitely my level, and that's the level I can play at.
So you've proven you're at the level now, Champions League, and then, you know, there's a lot of transfer gossip and stuff going on around you after that, like over the summer and stuff. So over the summer, you were supposed to move to AS Roma from Lens. The deal fell through. Can you describe exactly what happened from your perspective when you first heard about Roma wanting to sign you, to the deal falling through?
Yeah, so it was played the Euros in the summer. You know, first game against France, which we unfortunately lost 1-0, but we played really well. I think I played really well. You know, we lost 1-0 against, I think, the best country in the world. I mean, maybe Argentina is a bit better, but yeah, yeah. It's just basically early on in the Euros. I think after that first game, I think my brother had a lot of calls, a lot of interest from different teams calling, and Flo Gilosofi, the one who scouted me for Lens, was the sporting director at Roma at that time, and yeah, he spoke to my brother, spoke to my agent, saying there's interest there, and a few weeks after that, basically, yeah, he came in contact. Yeah, spoke to the coach as well, who at that point in time was De Rossi, and yeah, I was just very excited. He explained the whole concept to me, what the plan was, and everything around me, with me. And yeah, it's also one of actually my favorite city in Europe, just because of the history of the city, the Rome, the Colosseum. I like to think of myself as a gladiator, you know, like a lot of gladiator films and stuff like that. So I think for me, I was just very excited to know a club of such standing and such like status was after me, and I think yeah, I was really excited, and unfortunately it didn't happen the way it should have, or I wanted it to, but yeah.
Okay, cool. So you've gone over to Rome now.
Yeah.
And deal's more or less done?
Yeah, I mean, in football, nothing's done until you sign and the pen is, the ink is dried on the papers. Yeah, we got there. I mean, after all the negotiation with Lens, which did take quite a while, I think it was close to the 3 or 4 days before the transfer window was closing. So yeah, once the go-ahead was given to me to travel to Rome, it was, I think, about 80% done. You know, there was a few terms that weren't agreed. So once I got there, I was doing the medical and everything, which was the longest medical I've ever done in my life, by the way. It took an extremely long time, which I thought at the time was a bit fishy anyway. I mean, and then what was discovered during my heart scan, they said they discovered that I have an irregular heartbeat, which now I know, and I've been told by many cardiologists that is pretty normal in human beings and pretty normal in professional athletes. So yeah, I think they said because of that, or because of some other, you know, they did say because I didn't pass the medical, that yeah, they couldn't sign me. But I think there was some other factors which played into that, and so it was, in the moment, obviously it was sad to hear that, and it was very shocking to hear that I could possibly have a heart condition, which I've never heard of before. And yeah, I think that threw a spanner in the works, and the deal didn't get done.
So like to put it all into context, you've basically worked for like your whole life, more or less 20 years, to get to this moment. Basically, you've grinded, gone on loans, done your thing in France, and now you're getting your big move, essentially your first really big move, where you're going to go play at one of Europe's top teams, and all of that work is suddenly stopped because they tell you, oh, there's a problem with your heart, we can't sign you.
Yeah.
That must have been awful in the moment.
Yeah, definitely in the moment, but then, speaking to doctors from the Austrian national team, from previous clubs I've been to, it's never been brought up before or anything like that. So, like I said, it was a bit fishy for me, and called them up straight away, which gave me pretty much reassurance because they said that nothing suspicious or nothing abnormal has ever come up before. And if it was something that was really a problem that it would have come up before, I would have maybe had symptoms at some point in my career. I've been at Augsburg, SC Lons, playing pretty much every game, every minute of the season, with no problem. So I think hearing that was a shock in the moment, yeah, but I think pretty much straight away talking to the other cardiologist doctors, I was pretty sure that that there was nothing wrong. But again, obviously hearing that is still a shock, and you're gonna have to check and make sure that you're healthy. And so I didn't play for around 7 weeks after that. I was training and everything, but for 7 weeks after that, it was pretty much not being allowed to play and just a whole bunch of tests, examinations to make sure I was okay. And in the end, the examinations and the results proved that I was okay. And thanks to some of the best cardiologists, Professor Sharma, who's based in London here, did all the tests necessary and all the examinations, and it was proved that there was nothing abnormal. There was absolutely nothing wrong with me.
Yeah, because it would be a huge mess up for like so many clubs, because you've been through medicals at MK Dons, Augsburg, Southampton, Dusseldorf, Lens, national team. It's like what, 6, 7 footballing organisations. And so for what happened at Roma, if that's true, that means all of these different organisations and teams have missed this health issue you have. And the odds of that, it's possible, of course it's possible, but the odds of that are so low that so many different doctors wouldn't have been able to see. And so do you think, so to be clear, now you've had it tested independently and everything else, and it's been proven that that you are perfectly fit to play, and there was no reason for the transfer not to happen?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't just come to London to do the test. I went to basically the best of the best to make sure there was nothing wrong and nobody missed anything. So I was at the Cleveland Clinic in London, who did the most extensive examinations you could think of, and I also went to Switzerland, who UEFA, the cardiologists, which the UEFA normally use in cases like this. So I think for me it was also important to show the world and just to prove to myself again that there was definitely nothing wrong, and I'm happy I did that. And like I said, now the main focus is just to prove to the world that, once again, that I belong at a big European club and, playing at the highest level.
Yeah, for sure, because them saying this as well, especially if it's not true, that could be really damaging for you. You're a professional athlete, and other clubs may look at this and be like, oh no, he has a heart issue, we can't sign him. But they've put that out into the world, but it's not true.
Yeah, and that's why it was really important for me to go to the best of the best and just to prove that, medically, to prove that there was nothing wrong. And now I think what's left to do is just prove my performances by playing very well that there was nothing wrong, and it was just an unfortunate mishap, and that I'm fine and I'm ready and I'm the player that I believe I am, and it's just about showing everybody.
You were 25 years old at the time, entering the prime of your career and on track to be one of the best defenders in Europe. How did this whole experience impact you mentally, and how did you overcome it?
It was difficult, but I was pretty upbeat because, like I said, quite soon after everything it was proven not to be entirely true. And yeah, I had amazing support, family, friends, the people at Lens, my club. Yeah, and I was still playing, still training, so I was pretty upbeat, and I was just, yeah, like I said, I had good people around me, and it was pretty easy to just be positive and just know there was going to be light at the end of all of this. You know, once everything's proven to not be entirely true, that I'll be playing sooner rather than later.
Nice one, man. Do you think this fiasco has damaged your career?
No, I don't think so. But I think there's a bit of a perception that maybe I did have a heart issue, but like I said, it's not true, and like it's been proven, it's not true. And now it's just about getting back to my best and showing the world what I believe that I can be one of the best centre backs in the world, and that's what I'm working hard towards now.
Cool. As a defender, who is the toughest player you've played against and why?
Oh, there's so many. I think toughest matchup that I've gone up against, I would say Alexis Sanchez 2 years ago, Kylian Mbappé, Ousmane Dembele, Lewandowski. Yeah, I think Lewandowski game. I mean, that was my first game against Bayern. I think it was my fifth or seventh professional game. We lost 6-0. He was amazing. That's the first time I played against a world-class striker, and I felt that straight away. So I think it was one of the best learning curves, learning experiences I've had in the game. You know, just seeing little things he used to do with his body to, when he's got his back towards goal, or his back between me, when he was between me and the ball, just little shoulder movements so I couldn't see the ball, stuff like that. Thiago Alcantara, just playing against him, I wasn't really up against him, but just seeing how comfortable he was on the ball and the way he was just spraying the ball, like passing the ball just 2 meters past your foot, you're thinking you can intercept, you dive in, the ball goes through, like just a bunch of good players at that high level where you just think, oh, okay, you see them, you play against them, and you'll be like, okay, my goal is to, be on the same playing field as them and be on that level. So I think I couldn't choose just one player, but some of the players I've mentioned there were definitely Thomas Müller, by the way. Yeah. People say he's lucky. It has nothing to do with luck. Being on the same pitch as him, just understanding, listening to him, just knowing how clever he is. It's just amazing. Again, I think he's one of those players I would always say that you could play with him with a blindfold on and he would take you through the game.
Yeah, amazing, man. How many times did you play against Mbappe? Probably quite a few, right?
Yeah, quite a few times for France, and 5 games against Paris, something like that. No, 4.
What's Mbappe like?
A nightmare. So fast, so explosive, just always wants to score, is always that. He's direct, always wanting to go towards goal. At the Euros, even I broke his nose. Sadly, no, I'm joking.
Is that you?
Yeah.
What? I remember that. Oh God, tell us that story. Tell us about that. How did you break Mbappe's nose?
It was a very unfortunate situation. Like, he's one of my he's an absolute top player, one of my favorite players. To play against and to watch, just clearing the ball, and he kind of was headering the ball, and the follow through hit my shoulder, and sadly his nose broke. Yeah.
The other player I was going to ask you about, actually, because you mentioned him earlier, you must have played against Camavinga as well when he was really young.
Yeah.
From that age, could you tell, like?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Like I said, then there's so many players in the French league even right now that you would watch and you think they're just seasoned professionals because they play with so much of a I don't care attitude, or I'm trying to prove myself attitude. And it's just amazing to see, like I said, in that game I came on. I didn't, because it was just been a week that I've been at Lens, and he pretty much left shortly after that to go to Real Madrid. So yeah, an amazing player. Just bags of quality, technical ability already at that age. it's just amazing.
Was there ever a point in your career where you started to doubt yourself that you're happy to talk about today?
Doubt myself. That's a good question. Doubt myself. I don't think there was ever a stage where I doubted myself, but I think there were stages where I was like I said earlier, just no, I have to make it. It's no longer a choice. You know, you've sacrificed, you've given up to way too much. You know, you've been through too much to just be like, just like if it happens, it happens. It was more like that mindset, like whatever it takes, I'm gonna do.
If you could change one thing about the football industry, what would it be? No more medicals.
No, no, medicals are important, you know, but just I don't know, just for it to be, it's difficult to say because if you're not in football, I don't think you'd understand. But just for it to be more truthful, like more objective, because there's a lot of things there in football that are not objective, and it's not purely based on ability or just stuff like that. There's so much more, like contract situations, stuff like that. But yeah, even though just I think something like the NBA draft would be really interesting. You know, just
Explain that. Why do you think that would be
yeah,
valuable?
just because then it's like very fair. It's like the best players of that age group put into a draft, and the team basically pick from those players, and it's more objective, and it's just based on quality rather than maybe okay, this person, I don't know if I need to, this person knows this person, good connection here and there, just like in any exactly football politics.
Fair enough, man. If you could go back in time and give your younger self some advice, what would you say and why?
Just keep your good habits. Don't let your good habits die. Just, you know, the exact same things you were doing when you were younger. That love, playing every day, going out, training every day, kicking a ball every day, watching football with a passion every day. Just keep at it, because those are things that will definitely help you and give you that extra little thing.
This is my final question. What does the future hold for Kevin Danso? What do you want to achieve both on the pitch and off the pitch?
Yeah, just playing at the highest level, you know, going really far in the Euros with Austria, the World Cup coming up, you know, qualify for that, get really far, push on. I think what we showed this Euros, you know, I think we was one of those teams that really surprised people, and I think at the World Cup, with now more experience at high level competition, I think we could do better, and obviously at club level, compete for trophies. Yeah, and then off the pitch, just, you know, become a better person, continue to grow the charity I've set up in Austria, you know, to help people, kids, find their potential, you know, help them to push them into the direction of where they want to go in life and just be whatever they want to be and they have the potential to be.
So a couple more things to do. Firstly, we're asking everyone that comes on to ask the audience a question. And any questions come to mind you want to ask?
So in my career, I've been through a lot of ups and downs. So my question for the Rising Bowler community is, what's more important, the journey or the destination? Let me know what you think in the comments.
Kevin, thank you so much. That is a wrap, mate. Congratulations.